Why do so few succeed when so many dream of success? Why is it that despite equal opportunity, equal time, and equal chances, only a fraction rise to greatness while the rest remain ordinary? The answer lies in what I call the strangest secret in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to pause for a moment and reflect on a strange truth, one that has been whispered through the ages, yet ignored by the majority. The truth is this: we become what we think about. This, my friends, is the strangest secret in the world. It is strange because it is so simple, so obvious and so powerful, and yet so few truly understand it, fewer still apply it. Why do only a handful succeed while the great majority fall short of their dreams? The answer is not found in circumstances, nor in luck, nor in the privileges of birth. No success is shaped within the quiet workshop of the mind. Think of it: every great invention, every work of art, every empire, every fortune began as a thought. And yet, the majority of men and women never direct their thoughts. They drift, carried by the tides of conformity, doing what everyone else does, never questioning, never steering their own ship. The successful few, on the other hand, dare to think independently. They set a goal and devote their thoughts, their energy, and their very being toward its achievement. They do not merely wish. They decide, they act. They persist. Consider this central truth: a man becomes what he thinks about all day long. This is the secret that has shaped philosophers, leaders, inventors, and pioneers throughout history. But how can we apply this truth in our own lives? Let me share a few practical steps to decide on a worthy goal. Not just a vague wish, but a definite, clear, and specific objective. Write it down. Place it where you can see it every day. This keeps your mind fixed upon it. Picture yourself already in possession of your goal. Let your mind dwell on success, not failure. Act with discipline. Each day, take one deliberate step toward your aim. Persist. For storms will come, but those who hold their course will find safe harbor. Why do only a few succeed? Because only a few are willing to pay the price of disciplined thought, purposeful action, and unwavering faith. The rest settle for drifting, and drifting leads nowhere. So, I ask you, what are you thinking about? For your life will become its reflection. If you think in terms of success, achievement, abundance, and service, you will find them. If you think in terms of failure, doubt, and fear, you will find that too. The choice is yours. It always has been. We become what we think about. This is one of the most profound truths ever spoken, yet it is often overlooked in the rush of daily life. Every thought that occupies our mind shapes our actions, our attitudes, and eventually our destiny. A person's life is a mirror reflecting the patterns of their thinking. If one fills the mind with fear, doubt, and limitation, life will echo those very qualities. But if one chooses to dwell upon growth, achievement, and purpose, life will respond in kind. The human mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seed is planted and nourished will grow. It does not question whether the seed is good or bad. It simply produces what is sound. History and experience alike prove this truth. Every invention, every great movement, every leap of progress began first as a thought in the mind of one determined individual. Thomas Edison did not stumble upon the light bulb by accident. He thought about light, studied it, and devoted his energy to making it real. The Wright brothers did not fly because chance lifted them into the sky. They thought persistently about flight until it became possible. What they thought about, they became, and the world was transformed because of it. Yet most people go through life unaware of the power they carry within their own thoughts. They allow worry, fear, or aimless distraction to dominate their minds. They think about what they do not want, and by focusing on it, they bring more of it into existence. A person who constantly thinks of failure often acts in ways that lead to failure. Someone who thinks of poverty and lack begins to see only obstacles, closing the door to opportunities. The law is simple and unchanging. We become what we think about, whether we realize it or not. The difference between success and mediocrity lies in the discipline of thought. The successful man or woman carefully chooses what to allow into the mind. Instead of drifting with the current, they direct their thinking toward clear and worthy goals. They decide what they want, and they hold that vision before their eyes until it shapes their behavior, habits, and choices. A mind fixed on growth begins to notice new possibilities, to meet people who can help, and to find energy where once there was none. To harness this truth, one must become the master of thought rather than its servant. This requires vigilance. It means replacing self-defeating beliefs with constructive ideas. It means deliberately holding images of success, health, and abundance instead of dwelling on fear, illness, or failure. It means remembering in every circumstance that the thoughts entertained today are shaping tomorrow. When a person truly grasps this, they stop wasting energy on negativity, because they know it will return to them multiplied. They begin instead to think on purpose, with intention, planting seeds of greatness in the garden of the mind, trusting that in time, the harvest will match the quality of the seed. Most people don't think they drift. This is one of the most startling observations about human nature, yet it is seen everywhere in daily life. People wake up, follow routines set by habit or necessity, and go through the motions of existence without ever stopping to question why they do what they do. They live reactively, responding to circumstances rather than creating them, letting life push and pull them like a leaf carried by the current of a river. The tragedy of drifting is that it robs people of their greatest gift, the power of choice, the ability to think deliberately and shape their own destiny. Real thinking, is rare. It is not simply reacting or remembering, but directing the mind toward a definite aim, analyzing possibilities, and deciding upon a course of action with intention. Most people mistake worry for thinking or daydreaming for planning. But true thought is constructive, disciplined, and purposeful. It requires effort, and because effort is often uncomfortable, many avoid it. They drift instead, allowing circumstances, other people's opinions, and societal expectations to dictate the course of their lives. The drifter is easy to recognize. He works not because he has a vision, but because he must pay bills. She chooses a career not out of passion or purpose, but because it seemed available at the time. They pass years without setting a single meaningful goal, without asking themselves where they want to go or who they want to become. They follow the crowd because the crowd feels safe, never realizing that the crowd itself is lost. To drift is to live without a rudder, to allow chance to steer the ship, to hope for favorable winds without ever setting a destination. In contrast, those who think do not drift. They stop, they reflect, they decide. They know that life is short and that time cannot be wasted, so they take hold of their minds and direct them. They write down goals, they ask themselves what they truly want, and they plan steps to move closer each day. They are not carried away by every shift of opinion or every passing trend, because their compass is internal, not external. Where the drifter looks to others for direction, the thinker looks within. The difference in outcome between drifting and thinking is as wide as the difference between night and day. The drifter finds himself years later wondering where the time went, regretting lost chances and blaming fate or fortune. The thinker, on the other hand, creates opportunities, turns setbacks into lessons, and steadily progresses toward a chosen vision. Drifting leads to mediocrity, while thinking leads to growth. To think is to claim responsibility. It is to admit that one is the captain of the ship, not a helpless passenger. It is to understand that every choice begins as a thought, and that to choose not to think is still a choice to drift wherever the currents of life may carry, never knowing the destination, never tasting the fulfillment that only purposeful direction can bring. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. It is not a sudden stroke of luck, nor a prize handed out at the end of life, but a steady unfolding of purpose pursued with clarity and conviction. The very word, progressive, reveals its nature. Success is not a fixed point, but a continual movement toward the fulfillment of an ideal chosen by the individual. It is the daily advancement toward a goal that gives life meaning and direction, transforming ordinary days into steps of achievement. A worthy ideal is not just any goal, it is something of value, something aligned with truth, growth, and contribution. It may be the vision of becoming a master in one's craft, building a business that serves others, raising a family with love and integrity, or creating art that uplifts the spirit. The worthiness of the ideal lies in its power to inspire effort, demand discipline, and expand character. When a person selects such an ideal and begins the journey toward it, success has already begun, for the decision to pursue it is the seed of fulfillment. Too often, people mistake success for wealth, fame, or outward recognition. Yet history shows countless examples of individuals who achieved those things and remained unfulfilled. True success cannot be measured by possessions or applause alone, because those are byproducts, not the essence. The essence is progress, steady, deliberate, and meaningful. A teacher who dedicates herself to shaping young minds, a craftsman who strives to perfect his skill, an inventor who tirelessly refines his creation, all are successful because they are realizing their worthy ideals step by step. The beauty of this definition is that success is within reach of every person, regardless of background, circumstances, or resources. What matters is not where one starts, but what one aims for and whether one keeps moving forward. The man who decides to learn a new skill and spends each day practicing is just as successful as the entrepreneur who builds a thriving company, because both are advancing toward ideals that matter deeply to them. The external form may differ, but the internal law is the same. Progress toward a worthy aim is success. This understanding frees us from the illusion that success is reserved for a chosen few. It reveals that success is available the moment we choose a goal worthy of our best effort and commit ourselves to its pursuit. Every day that we act in harmony with that decision, we are successful, regardless of how far we are from the final result. The progressive realization is itself the reward because it transforms us, sharpens our abilities, and strengthens our spirit. To live this way is to live with intention, never drifting, never wasting, but always moving steadily in the direction of an ideal that elevates and defines the very meaning of life. Conformity is the enemy of greatness. It is the silent force that persuades people to trade their individuality for the comfort of belonging, to surrender their vision for the safety of approval, and to suppress their potential in exchange for the illusion of security. From childhood, society conditions us to fit in, to follow rules without question, to move in step with the crowd. While conformity may create order, it often comes at the cost of imagination, originality, and the courage required to rise above the ordinary. Greatness, by its very nature, demands standing apart, daring to think differently, and resisting the gravitational pull of the masses. When we examine the lives of those remembered for extraordinary contributions, artists, inventors, leaders, visionaries, we see a common thread: they refuse to conform. Galileo challenged prevailing beliefs about the universe, risking persecution for the sake of truth. Leonardo da Vinci ignored boundaries between disciplines, becoming a master of art, science, and engineering because he refused to confine his mind to a single box. Martin Luther King Jr. confronted unjust traditions, declaring that conformity to oppression could never lead to justice. Each of these figures chose individuality over approval, and in doing so, they carved paths that altered the course of history. Conformity is dangerous because it deceives people into believing they are safe when, in reality, they are stagnating. The conformist does what everyone else does, pursues the same careers, buys the same possessions, and holds the same opinions, not because these choices reflect personal conviction, but because they reflect the crowd. This creates a life of mediocrity where unique talents lie dormant and higher possibilities remain unexplored. The tragedy is not that conformists fail, but that they never truly attempt to succeed on their own terms. Greatness is not found in imitation but in authenticity. It begins when a person dares to ask, "What do I believe? What do I want? What am I capable of creating?" These questions require courage because the answers often defy conventional wisdom. The road to greatness is rarely crowded. It is a solitary path paved by vision and persistence. To walk it is to face criticism, doubt, and misunderstanding, yet it is also to discover the freedom of living aligned with one's true purpose. Conformity is seductive precisely because it is easy. To go along with the majority requires no effort, no responsibility, no risk. But to break free requires thought, decision, and action, the very qualities that define leaders and innovators. The individual who resists conformity learns to trust inner judgment, to think independently, and to act boldly even when others disapprove. This independence of mind and spirit is the seed from which greatness grows. Every human being is born with unique gifts, ideas, and perspectives. To conform is to bury those gifts beneath layers of imitation, while to resist conformity is to allow them to shine. When people embrace their individuality and dare to live it fully, they not only achieve personal fulfillment, but also inspire others to rise above the ordinary, proving that conformity is indeed the enemy of greatness. Goals give direction. Without them, people wander. A goal is like a compass in the hands of a traveler, guiding each step and ensuring that effort is not wasted in endless circles. Without goals, life becomes an aimless journey where days blend together without meaning, where energy is spent reacting to circumstances instead of shaping them. A person without a goal may be busy, but business without direction is nothing more than motion without progress. True progress begins the moment one chooses a destination and fixes the mind upon it. Every achievement in human history was born from a goal. The great cities, the works of art, the discoveries that shaped civilizations, each began with someone deciding what they wanted to accomplish. A builder does not lay bricks randomly, he envisions a structure and works toward it. An artist does not splash paint without purpose, she holds an image in her mind and brings it to life. In the same way, every individual must set goals if they wish their life to take form and meaning. Without such vision, the days are like scattered pieces of a puzzle, never forming a complete picture. When a person has goals, decisions become clearer and easier. Every choice is weighed against the question, does this bring me closer to my aim or lead me farther away? With goals, distractions lose their power because the mind is fixed on something greater than the temptation of the moment. Goals act as a filter, separating the essential from the trivial, ensuring that time and energy are invested in pursuits that matter. Without goals, however, people wander. They drift from job to job, habit to habit, relationship to relationship, always searching but never finding. They rely on luck, waiting for opportunity to appear instead of creating opportunity through deliberate pursuit. This wandering leads to frustration, because deep inside every person is a desire for purpose and growth. To live without goals is to deny that desire, and in time it results in a sense of emptiness. The power of goals is not only in their achievement, but in the transformation that occurs along the way. The moment a person sets a clear objective, they begin to grow into someone capable of reaching it. The discipline required, the habits formed, the lessons learned, all are part of the reward. A goal stretches the mind, strengthens character, and gives meaning to effort. Even if the final outcome changes, the pursuit itself brings growth that wandering can never provide. Goals need not be grand to give direction. A small goal pursued with sincerity provides more clarity than vague wishes for a better life. The key is to define it clearly, write it down, and take consistent steps toward it. In this way, each day becomes purposeful, and even challenges take on meaning, for they are no longer random obstacles but part of a chosen journey towards something worthwhile. Discipline is the bridge between desire and achievement. Desire by itself is only the spark, the initial longing for something greater, but without discipline it fades like a flame without fuel. Every person carries desires, dreams of wealth, health, love, recognition, or personal fulfillment, but only a fraction transform those desires into tangible results. The difference lies in discipline, the steady force that connects what we want to what we are willing to do each day to earn it. Discipline is not punishment, it is structure, consistency, and control directed toward a worthy aim. It is the act of choosing long-term rewards over short-term comfort, of following through when excitement fades, of honoring commitments made to oneself. Desire may inspire us to set a goal, but discipline carries us through the monotonous, difficult, and often unglamorous steps required to achieve it. It is the bridge that prevents us from drifting back into wishful thinking, ensuring that every day brings us closer to our objective. Consider the athlete who dreams of victory. Desire alone will not make her faster or stronger. It is discipline that compels her to rise before dawn, train when others sleep, and push her body beyond its comfort zone. It is discipline that sharpens her skills through repetition until excellence becomes second nature. Without discipline, her desire remains a fantasy, but with it, her desire becomes achievement. The same principle holds true in every area of life. The student who desires knowledge, the entrepreneur who desires success, the artist who desires mastery, all are separated from their goals not by lack of passion, but by lack of discipline. Discipline creates habits, and habits shape destiny. What we repeat consistently becomes who we are. A person who disciplines himself to read, to learn, and to think critically develops wisdom. A person who disciplines himself to save, to invest, and to work diligently builds financial security. A person who disciplines himself to practice patience, kindness, and self-control cultivates character. In every case, the achievement is the natural result of daily discipline. Without it, even the strongest desires dissolve into regret. The bridge of discipline is not built in a single day. It is forged in countless small decisions. Choosing to work instead of procrastinate, to study instead of waste time, to endure instead of quit. Each choice adds another plank to the bridge, strengthening it until it can carry the weight of the goal. Over time, discipline becomes less of a burden and more of a companion, for it brings freedom. It frees us from the chaos of impulses, from the trap of laziness, from the pain of missed opportunities. It provides the structure that makes growth possible, the path that leads from the spark of desire to the solid ground of achievement. Failure comes from following the crowd instead of following vision. The crowd offers comfort, safety, and the illusion of security, but it rarely offers greatness. Most people choose the path of least resistance, doing what everyone else is doing, thinking what everyone else is thinking, and living by standards set by others. This conformity may provide acceptance, but it comes at the cost of individuality, creativity, and true progress. The person who follows the crowd may avoid criticism, but in the end they also avoid success, for success demands vision, and vision requires stepping away from the masses. The crowd is guided by fear more than by faith. It clings to what is familiar even when the familiar leads nowhere. It invests energy in survival rather than creation, in comfort rather than growth. Those who follow it may find themselves busy yet unfulfilled, because their efforts are not directed by their own vision but by the expectations of others. They work in jobs they do not love, chase goals that are not their own, and settle for a life that does not reflect their potential. This quiet surrender is the essence of failure. To reach the end and realize one has lived according to someone else's plan. Vision, by contrast, is personal and unique. It is the ability to see a possibility others overlook, to imagine a future that does not yet exist, and to pursue it with determination. Vision is often lonely because it sets a person apart from the crowd. The visionary is criticized, doubted, and sometimes ridiculed, yet this very resistance is proof that they are on a different path. All great achievements began as visions in the minds of individuals who dared to step away from what everyone else believed was possible. The crowd laughed at the idea of human flight, yet the Wright brothers followed their vision. The crowd resisted the notion of electricity lighting homes, yet Edison followed his vision. The crowd rarely understands vision until it has been proven, and by then, the visionary has already succeeded. Failure comes when a person silences their vision to gain the approval of the majority. The voice within urges them towards something greater, but the louder voice of the crowd convinces them to remain where it is safe. Over time, the inner vision fades, replaced by the dull comfort of conformity. Dreams unpursued become regrets, and regrets become the weight of failure. The individual who follows vision may stumble, may fall, may face setbacks, but these are only stepping stones toward growth. The one who follows the crowd never stumbles far, but neither do they rise high. They remain in the middle, safe but unfulfilled. The truth is clear. Success belongs to those who follow vision, not the crowd. Vision provides direction, energy, and meaning, while the crowd offers only repetition of what has already been done. To follow vision is to create, to build, to lead. To follow the crowd is to blend, to settle, to disappear into the ordinary. Growth requires risk, while comfort breeds mediocrity. Every step forward in life demands the courage to step into the unknown, to leave behind the familiar patterns that feel safe but keep us stagnant. Comfort lulls people into believing they are secure, yet what it often provides is stagnation, repetition, and the quiet erosion of potential. Growth, on the other hand, calls for stretching beyond limits, taking chances, and venturing into territories where success is uncertain but development is inevitable. Risk is not recklessness. It is the deliberate choice to pursue something greater despite the possibility of failure. Every achievement in history has been the result of individuals willing to risk comfort for progress. Explorers risked their lives to discover new lands, inventors risked ridicule to test new ideas, entrepreneurs risked stability to build empires, and leaders risked criticism to stand for what they believed in. In each case, the reward was not only external accomplishment but internal growth, the expansion of courage, resilience, and vision. Without risk, these individuals would have remained in the confines of the ordinary, untouched by the greatness they eventually achieved. Comfort, though tempting, carries a hidden cost. It feels safe in the moment, but over time it breeds mediocrity. A person who avoids challenge, who clings to routine, and who refuses to take risk gradually weakens the very qualities that lead to success. Imagination dulls, ambition shrinks, and opportunities pass by unnoticed. Comfort convinces people to settle for less than they are capable of, offering short-term ease while robbing them of long-term fulfillment. Mediocrity is never the result of a lack of talent, but almost always the product of choosing comfort over courage. Growth often begins where comfort ends. The student who pushes beyond familiar subjects, the worker who learns new skills, the artist who experiments beyond their style, the individual who dares to change careers or relocate to pursue opportunity, all must embrace risk. The risk of failure, the risk of criticism, the risk of uncertainty are all prices of growth. Yet in taking these risks, they become stronger, more adaptable, and more alive. The act of facing risk reshapes character, building perseverance, creativity, and confidence. Life itself teaches this lesson repeatedly. A child grows by risking the fall when learning to walk. A teenager grows by risking rejection when learning to express ideas. An adult grows by risking change when pursuing dreams. At every stage, growth demands stepping out of what is known and safe. The choice is always present: embrace risk and grow, or remain in comfort and decline. Those who achieve greatness understand this truth deeply. They do not seek comfort, they seek challenge. They are willing to risk failure for the sake of discovery, to risk criticism for the sake of progress, and to risk the familiar for the sake of something extraordinary. Growth requires risk, while comfort breeds mediocrity, and the life that embraces risk becomes a life that fulfills its highest potential. Opportunity is disguised as hard work, which most avoid. At first glance, opportunity often does not appear glamorous or inviting. It rarely arrives in the form of easy rewards or instant success. Instead, it comes wrapped in effort, persistence, and tasks that demand patience and discipline. Because so many people desire quick results without sacrifice, they overlook opportunity when it appears in its true form. They turn away from the very work that could open doors to growth, advancement, and achievement. Those who embrace hard work, however, Recognize that hidden within it lies the chance to create something meaningful. Hard work is the refining fire of success. It tests commitment, strengthens character, and separates those who are serious about their dreams from those who merely wish for them. Every great accomplishment in history has been the product of hard work disguised as opportunity. The scientist spends years in research before discovery. The musician practices thousands of hours before mastery. The entrepreneur toils in obscurity, enduring setbacks and failures before the business thrives. What outsiders call luck is often nothing more than hard work meeting opportunity at the right time. The reason most avoid hard work is because it demands consistency when enthusiasm fades. It asks for effort long after the initial excitement of a dream has worn off. It requires discipline when distractions are tempting and persistence when progress seems invisible. For many, this price feels too high, so they retreat into comfort. But by avoiding the work, they also avoid the opportunity. The road of ease may feel smoother, but it leads nowhere worth traveling, while the road of labor, though steep, leads to heights unseen by the crowd. Opportunity reveals itself to those who are willing to prepare for it. Hard work builds the skills, knowledge, and resilience needed to seize chances when they arise. Without preparation, even the greatest opportunity will slip through one's hands. Imagine a door that opens only when someone has the strength to push it wide. Hard work is the training ground that builds that strength. Those who avoid it find the door immovable, while those who have endured the effort step confidently through it. The disguise of hard work also serves as a filter. It ensures that only the truly committed gain the rewards. If opportunity were easy, everyone would seize it, and it would lose its value. By requiring effort, life ensures that those who achieve success have earned it, and in earning it they appreciate it. The hours of labor, the sacrifices made, and the persistence shown become part of the victory itself, giving depth and meaning to the achievement. Every person encounters opportunities disguised in this way. They may appear as a demanding job, a challenging project, or the discipline required to master a skill. To the casual observer, these look like burdens. To the wise, they are invitations. Those who accept the invitation and embrace the work uncover the hidden opportunities that transform dreams into reality. Few succeed, because few decide with courage and persist with faith. Success is never an accident, it is the result of deliberate choice followed by unwavering perseverance. The first step toward achievement is the act of decision, yet most people hesitate at this very point. They linger in doubt, delay action, and wait for perfect conditions that never arrive. To decide with courage means to cut off every other option, to commit wholeheartedly to a chosen path despite uncertainty, fear, or opposition. It is this decisive courage that separates the few who succeed from the many who drift. Courage is essential because every meaningful goal carries risk. To pursue a vision is to leave behind the comfort of the familiar and to face the possibility of failure. The crowd chooses safety and conformity, but those who succeed choose boldness. They do not wait for guarantees. They move forward with determination, knowing that uncertainty is part of the journey. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act in spite of it. It is the voice that says, "I will begin now," even when the outcome is unclear. Yet courage alone is not enough. Once the decision is made, persistence becomes the vital force that carries one forward. Success is rarely immediate. The path is filled with obstacles, setbacks, and moments of doubt. Many begin with excitement but fall away when the work becomes difficult or the results take longer than expected. Persistence is the quality that keeps one moving when enthusiasm fades, when doors close, and when progress seems invisible. It is the steady hand on the wheel that keeps the ship on course through storms. Faith gives persistence its strength. Faith is the conviction that the goal is possible, that the effort will be rewarded, and that every challenge is part of the process of growth. Without faith, obstacles appear insurmountable. With faith, they are seen as stepping stones. Faith allows a person to continue even when evidence of success has not yet appeared, trusting that unseen forces align with effort and determination. It is this faith that keeps the heart strong and the mind focused when logic suggests surrender. Few succeed because few possess both elements together, the courage to decide and the faith to persist. Many have dreams, but they hesitate to choose. Others make bold beginnings, but they give up too soon. Only those who combine decisive courage with unwavering faith in their purpose rise above mediocrity. They stand firm when others retreat, they press on when others surrender, and in the end, they achieve not only their goals but also the growth of character that comes from the struggle. Every life contains the potential for success, but potential alone is not enough. It must be activated by a courageous decision and sustained by persistent faith. Those who embrace both qualities discover that success is not reserved for the lucky few, but is earned by those who dare to decide and refuse to quit. Ladies and gentlemen, we have uncovered together what makes the difference between the few who succeed and the many who fall short. We become what we think about, yet most never think at all. They drift. Success is not chance but the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, and conformity, the enemy of greatness, lures too many into mediocrity. Goals give direction, for without them, people wander. Discipline is the bridge between desire and achievement, and failure comes from following the crowd instead of following vision. Growth requires risk, while comfort breeds mediocrity, and opportunity comes disguised as hard work, which most avoid. In the end, few succeed because few decide with courage and persist with faith. The choice is simple and always before us: to drift with the crowd, or to rise with vision, to cling to comfort, or to embrace the discipline of growth, to wish for success, or to decide upon it with courage and pursue it with faith. The strangest secret in the world is no longer hidden. It is revealed in the power of thought, the direction of goals, and the persistence of disciplined effort. Those who understand and live by it step into the ranks of the few who succeed, and they prove by their lives that success is not an accident, but a deliberate creation.